It's okay. So there's people attending. Okay, great.
Yes.
All right. Okay, great.
Yes. Sorry. I forget. I'm the only one who can see how many yeah, we've got some folks here
Okay,
that
great.
are here to hear our readers this
Awesome.
afternoon.
All right. Well, great. Thanks. We'll go ahead and kick it off. Hello, everyone. My name is Jessica Taylor, and I am the membership chair for the Kentucky State Poetry Society. I hope you all have enjoyed all the workshops and readings so far and the panels throughout the weekend. I sure have. And today I've been given the special privilege to host the youth reading this afternoon, and glad you have been able to join us. As someone who's also the leader for the Teen Hall Poetry Series, which is a monthly poetry open mic for teens at Third Street Stuff, let me tell you that there's no shortage of creative, vibrant, insightful young writers in the state. That being said, you're in for a treat. We have 6 young writers who will grace us with their words today, which includes Kitan Adadije, Amy Roblero Perez, Zoya Abbas, Eva Alcaraz Monje, Ryan Eby, and Tony Robinson. First, we'll start off with Lexington's first ever Youth Poet Laureate. Please welcome Kitan Adadije.
Hi. So today I'll be reading a few poems which I wrote at the beginning of the school year about my Nigerian heritage. So the first one I wrote is kind of about everything that came before me. I was reading about the Civil War in Nigeria and how we were kind of fighting ourselves, like Nigerian people were fighting against themselves, and how that affected me in the modern day. So this one is titled, I Hate the Taste of It. Worn like the bitter taste on my tongue, the knife that comes to split my heart in two. When I am sleeping, their footsteps pulsate on the ground and leave me flattened, marching head on into the heat of the battle. We all landed dead on our freed land, flies drawn into the scent of alcohol and honey by rusting blood, all armored glory. Our pistols and war machines used to dangle in front of our faces, held between our palms and fingertips, wavering on the edge as we dig up another way to hell. Fight, always. Something lit inside us, a light bulb and the match that started the flame uproaring around us, and soot and ash fill the sky. The smoke, our noses can't decipher if it is from 65 years ago, or 55 years, or 25, or now. Traveling down my nostrils to my mouth onto my tongue. Lost sits, and I look her into the eye as I shed skin. She wants to know why I forsook her, how it made me all from the ground up. I hate the taste. So the next piece I will be reading is also from the collection about my Nigerian heritage, and it's about being an immigrant and feeling disconnected from your own culture. And it's called Outlier. The cassava root sticks out of the ground like a sore thumb, and I eat gari with sugar and groundnut mixing in my mouth. My uncle grows avocados, like a tallow melting to the sides of my mouth. My aunt sews dresses, popping seams as I pull them up my waist. My grandmother lives lavishly, the shower running too cold for my skin to bear. In return, I reap pink sunsets and sausages coated in fried dough, seeds sown into the ground so I can take and wash the dirt off my body and stay clean and unknowing. And then the last poem I will read about this little collection about Nigeria is called They Have KFC in Nigeria, which is about when I went to Nigeria in like 2021 and I saw they had KFC there. And it kind of reminded me of like the connection between the US and Nigeria and how that kind of all resides in me. They have KFC in Nigeria. When they cut the electricity and the air swells around my body, we play hide and seek in the dark and trip over the mattresses in the living room. On the table, there is agege bread and Milo and Lipton and knives dipped deep into the Nutella jar. My cousins spread it onto their bread to consume it like a first drug high. I show them the Capri Suns in America, have them taste goldfish and Swiss Miss hot chocolate. I make pinky promises to bring jars of it all when I come back. The light returns and they confess they would give it all to go back with me. I invite them to touch the kettle. Electric shock when I touched its metal and felt my hand wave in and out of reality. Who knew this was how electricity would first flow through my body? We shared turns and laughed, each of our fingers to the metal over again. Around the couch, SpongeBob on the TV, we eat KFC and jollof rice, and they turn on the AC on low in the background just for me.
Mm.
And then I'll read two pieces from when I was at GSA, so two pieces from my chapbook. The first piece I'll be reading is called Dance Baby Girl Move. This body, it takes up more space than it needs to. With each step out, contort as if there is nothing on this stage. Gravity sticks you to the ground, desolate, desperate. You take up a weight too heavy to lift, too heavy for perspiration to form. When you move your arms, move your legs, your feet, your fingers explode. Each vibration in your flesh will keep you warm. So dance, baby girl, hit the ground and get up again. Keep away the cold, let the heat radiate off your skin. Forget the outside is a tundra. Feel the rhythm as a monumental, because when you finally stop, everything around you will be still. And then the last piece I'll be reading is called Queen Anne's Lace. She finds me at night, wants to dish me up on a platter, eat the marrow in my bones, then burn the rest of my body. I think she lives within me, hides somewhere within my braid's cavities, strikes when I am the weakest, knows how to rub salt into my wounds from the inside. I want to call her diamond, razor sharp and beautiful, something only found in a fairy tale, a recipe part of me wants to become. I see her everywhere. I find her in the space between my cornea and my iris, in the places beyond, and oftentimes she is laughing at me. Her life blossom like that of a white rose, while I am the violet with no flowers. Together we're Queen Anne's lace and sugarweed, ivy curling around the trunk of my tree, knotting tighter and tighter around my neck until I cannot breathe. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you, Kitan. Your poetry is so beautiful. I'm always just so happy to hear it every time you read. It's amazing. We did have one question in the chat. Just what's the title of your first poem that you read? Oh, you answered it. Perfect. I have a taste of it. Thank you. All right, thank you. All right, up next we have Amy. Amy Roblero Perez is from Bardstown, Kentucky, and has attended the Governor's School for the Arts and is also the first Kentucky Youth Poet Laureate, which is through the Gateway Regional Arts Center here in Kentucky. Everyone, please welcome Amy.
Thank you.
Virtual welcome.
So my name is Amy. I wrote this first poem during my time at the Kentucky Governor's School for the Arts about someone I've always wanted to give absolutely everything to. This poem is titled The Woman That Remained. Go back to your country from the adjacent car in the back seat, white teeth teens, you and I, listening to the love ballads, this time in your tongue, you rolled the windows up. This was the first time I realized you possessed shame. I was young. Still, you remained. The second, when you apologized for being my mother, a stack of mail on the table, a bittersweet stare. Perdón por no tener escuela. I was older. Your words gifted me an ache. Still you remained on the news. They talk about kids like me, anchor babies. You remained, but mama, my love doesn't demand your homestay a secret. My love demands no knowledge of the English language. My love doesn't demand citizenship. You said I wasn't a tool, but a dream found between homes and hotels, fields and factories, swearing love on a journey worse than death. Mama, in my country, you have always been enough. Like a weed without water or sun, you remain. Speak English. This is America. Trampled and beat, still you remain. Mamá, América no tiene solo una lengua. As the aftertaste of flour, limón, tomate. Mija, ven a comer, as tales, as song, as scars from wishing upon too many stars, dreaming of home. You left it behind that day, surrendering finest blushes to sand, picking thorns from skin, bones colliding with bone, rays of sun spilling. Still, you remained. So let me be your promised. If I must pick the word America from my teeth, I'll tear apart each letter, ring and bone, until we have it. Life, liberty, the pursuit of happiness. So place your bets on me. I will be the ocean you long to sink in. I'll take you, Paris, London, Greece, your New York City you so long to see. I will wrap you in waves of water instead of sand. I will water you. Allow my heart to be your sun. I will surrender myself to be your home, tu hija, not an anchor. So I beg you, remain here with me. Thank you. And that was my first poem. My next one is about these conversations, these phone calls I have with my father now that I'm in college. He tells me about the family he has in Mexico. In recent months, organized crime groups are defending and expanding their territories. Violence has spread all the way to Mexico's southernmost state of Chiapas. Tens of thousands have fled, and that heightens fears that violence may be there to stay. I have my grandmother and a lot of my uncles live there, and I wrote this poem thinking about them. Las mariposas monarcas se queman. I cannot save them. In my father's daydream, the monarch butterflies are miles away. He cannot save them. His brothers split a few tortillas, share a bowl of beans, choke down liquor. They laugh. They long for a promised land, for more than just this red. Chiapas is bleeding from one too many picking coffee beans for pennies or $1, one too many bodies, one too many missing, too many lining pockets with graves and bought silences, and a criminal's war. I could not save you, not then and not now, so let this be my love letter to you. You drag your families and carry your dead, crossing borders as dreams refusing to stay in the ground. In Chiapas, las mariposas monarcas se queman, and I cannot save them. I understand now. My mother taught me love is half an orange in a porcelain bowl. My father says love is a brother carrying brother's limp body, a shot skull. I wonder if my parents, like the monarch butterflies, will burn before they get to say, estoy aquí, llegué a casa. I am here. I made it home. I'm sorry. I could not save you. So this is my love letter to you. Las mariposas monarcas se queman, still longing for the milkweed, an oyamel forest, a familiar smell, searching for one last heartbeat. My father is singing of home. Somewhere inside of him, a kid is singing of loss. He is playing with his brother in the river. The sun is hitting the leaves, keeping his heart warm. The only withering is tomorrow's war. In my daydream, you are at my dinner table, somewhere in America, and we eat until our bellies are full. We watch TV. We'll leave the bullets for tomorrow. We'll leave the hunger for tomorrow. We'll leave your dying for tomorrow. We can afford to watch the monarch butterflies because they don't burn here. It's the only way I can find in me to honor you. I wonder how many dead dreams make up mine, how many bodies to make up my time so I can say that I am here. How much of you is lodged inside of me, lodged in my throat between the pauses and syllables? How much of you is breathing between the words? Chapas is bleeding. All the monarch butterflies are burning. We pretend we cannot save them. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Amy. I'm so glad I got to hear you read powerful poems.
Thank
And
you.
if you ever are in Lexington, come and grace our teen house stage. We would love to have you. It's fantastic. Okay. Next up, we have Zoya. Zoya is the 2024-25 Lexington Youth Poet Laureate. She is a freshman at American University and has been writing poetry since she was in the 3rd grade. She was a graduate of the Scapa Literary Arts Program for Creative Writing and attended Teen How. Her first poem that she ever wrote came to her in the form of a dream. How lovely. Hi, Zoya. Welcome.
Hi. Thank you so much for having me. I apologize. My voice is going to be a little bit in and out today. So I'll be reading one poem, and it's a poem that means a lot to me. I got to read this at my high school graduation back in May, and it's called We Exist in Force. It's just a reflection of my 4 years here in high school and how it feels to be graduating. We exist in force, 4 walls in a classroom, paint peeling from its walls, one corner too hot and one corner too cold. 4 seasons in a year, summer that is yearned for. Fall is the start to a new beginning. Spring means it's almost over, and summer means it's all over. We exist in fours. 4 people makes a double date, coffee shops, football games. 4 wins in a row means it's time to celebrate. We exist in fours. 4 years spent in one building where we built on 4 core classes. Some were better, some were worse. We exist in fours. The best thing in life comes in fours. John Paul, George, and Ringo once said, "Nothing you can do, but you can learn to be you." We exist in fours. One day we grew up and we leave in 4 different directions. North to college, south take a gap year, east start a job, and west I'll figure it out as I go. And in the center of it was 4 years we spent together. Everything we've done, all the tests, all the homework assignments we never did, the homecoming games and home games, and the games that are forgettable, all the mistakes and missteps and mischances, comes down to a story in fours. We existed in fours. We could be defined by fours. We exist in fours. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Zoya. Love it. That's a great graduation poem. I can totally see you up there reading it. And yeah, I never really think about how it's paired, all the fours. And we always think about threes. So I like the change of perspective of fours. Thanks, Zoya. All right, next up we have Eva. Eva was a finalist for the Lexington Youth Poet Laureate. They are also the co-editor-in-chief of the Lafayette Times and winner of the Student Poetry Contest Pegasus, which is our journal here at the Kentucky State Poetry Society. Everyone, please welcome Eva. Hello, Eva.
Hey everyone. So I'm going to be reading 3 poems for you guys today. The first one is I am not originally from Kentucky. I was born in Miami, Florida, and that's where I spent the first 11 years of my life. And I recently went back there last summer to see my friends and her friends who I didn't really know, and we had this experience on a beach, and I just was inspired to write a poem about it. It's called "Dang, This Is Something Out of a Movie." Onyx pools at our feet, feeding the rubies and the diamonds and the emeralds lining the coast, blinking to show that they are breathing. We scream at the night to a girl I don't know, and we pray that our happy birthday travels to Cuba with a saran wrap suitcase, and we suck in the hot air like rabid dogs because we know it's going to be gone pretty soon. I don't know you very well, but give me a hug just for tonight. We are invincible as long as we empty our souls in the sand doodles. Shoulder to shoulder, soldiers to war that is leaving the parking lot, sitting on the seafoam floor with our hands grasped tight so y'all don't flow out of my memory is fun. The second one I'm going to be reading is called Tomorrow I Will Teach You to Weld, which is something my dad said to me. I was just really sad one day and he said that to me, which I thought was a really interesting reaction. So yeah. Tomorrow I will teach you to weld so you can collect the quarters at the bottom of your back pocket and forget about the one buried in the palm of your hand. I will heat the soldering tool until the air smells like sulfur and bend the aluminium into a dancer jumping over glow-in-the-dark stars. I will hold your hand as I meant to do while the fire singes your stripping hair, and I will cup the other into a basin for the beads of liquid mercury, and I will wash your hair with it because you have let yourself go, but I will not tell you that. And the last one I'm going to read is called America's Best Loved. I wrote this while I was at the Governor's School for the Arts this summer. This was made as a collaboration piece with a visual arts student who made a printed art piece based off like some designs that I took, and the title of it was America's Best Loved. And yeah. America's Best Loved. Spill my worth in bloodied gold. I'm a humble servant that bows to cherry red popsicles and grass green paper with men that don't look like my father. No one wins in this game. Checkers, chess, poker, and Russian roulette. Teach me to pick my pawns and cock the gun with one fell swoop. How dare you think about peace while the backdrop of her golden locks waves with colors that you won't fall for. I hope you are a beggar someday. I pray you kneel in shattered glass so that I may collect your Midas touch in my bottle. And I will drink it like strawberry wine, and I will lick my lips when I am done. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Eva. Beautiful imagery. I love your work. Thank you for sharing. All right, next up we have Ryan. Ryan is a winner of the Student Poetry Contest by Pegasus and a Silver Key winning writer from the Art Academy of Cincinnati. Ryan is also a regular to Teen Hal and was also featured as Howler of the Month. He writes mostly poetry and short stories and has a huge fondness for sci-fi. Like most writers, he has cats he adores. Hi, Ryan. Welcome.
Hi. Um, no kidding. I just had a cat on me and she left when you started the bio, which is incredibly unfortunate.
Nice.
I have 3 poems for you today. The first one I wrote somewhat recently. After a song called To a Wild Rose for a collaboration piece with the Piano Meters. It's called I Used to Teach Piano and is about my grandmother. I used to teach piano, she says, wheeling over. She watches me like a house cat watches cars outside the window. I try to string together notes, reading an unfamiliar clef, pecking at an unfamiliar instrument. I make something akin to a scale, and she nods along, glassy-eyed and remembering. The music stand overflows with battered songbooks, oldies, dances, duets. She was never hip on jazz. I try one of the songs, some slow, old dance. It sounds off to me, but she closes her eyes and smiles. I doubt she can hear me play, but she subsists on ideas these days. Is this piece? It's the best I can offer her. That was the first one. The second one is called Infinite Radii, and I wrote it a while ago, and the Teen Howl people liked it. And that's my litmus test for whether something's good. Infinite radii does not equal a circle, does not equal the sun, cannot equal. Infinite paths are not an open line, lions hyper-rogue chasing in lopsided circles. I cannot reach you because I do not know how to get to you, how to find you in this horrible space. I don't know if you're running from me because I can't hear you, can't hear anything. Eyes screwed closed, and the silence is so, so loud. Cardioid, present for you. Poets hate math, don't you know? Don't you know that it's never right the first time, that infinite revision is the path to salvation? Salvation along a path on a road to nowhere, song in your ears and nothing where your heart should be. Not a bad thing, no. Sometimes we are born without things often considered necessary. Not a bad thing at all. Emptiness is another thing you can turn upside down, make work for you, make it fill up and scoop out the flow in. Measure the rate in, can't be linear, that'd be too easy. Stepped equation for the rate out. At what time do you feel happy, fulfilled? Trick question, can't feel fulfilled. Equations don't line up that way. Sorry, better luck next time. Lost the genetic lottery, like that one movie. What was it called? Gattaca, with the guy, the pitiful one. I like him. He reminds me of a drowning bee, stinger broken, but reaching out nonetheless. Feels useless, you know, trying but can't reach. Either you survive or don't, I guess. Or some third thing, whatever that would be. But I love false dichotomies, building the world so it fits me like a skin-tight suit, or rather fits the dress form I wish was me. The white cotton one, rough, sits in the corner like a discarded android, thin, no head, perfect. Perfection only happens without genetics. You and I are, sadly, imperfect. Well, I guess I shouldn't speculate about you. Tea time. And the third one is called Daylight Shooting Star, and I wrote it this year for Lex Pomo. Long clouds laid out like panting dogs upon the sky, baking pavement swimming in the heat, ready to burn paws. Sparse trees, young and small and weak and unrelentingly green. I'm tailing the next car up the next hill, up the rise, up a speed table. It's a lonely kind of upwards. They only let dead dogs into space, fast and weird and utterly expected. I imagine I can pull the car's steering wheel to go up like a plane. I'd fly into the gravitational blue, like so many before me, and leave a fluffy white tail. Daylight Shooting Star. Thank you.
Thank you, Ryan. It's always a pleasure to hear your work. Thanks. All right, before we have our last reader, if anyone who's attending have any questions for these folks, there's a Q&A you can plug in. If we don't have any, I'll ask some questions myself, but if anything has lingered throughout this awesome reading, just let us know. All right, we're gonna end the reading with Tony. Thomas Tony Robinson is a teen poet born in Baltimore, Maryland, now residing in Lexington, Kentucky. Tony is also a regular to Teen Howl and has been featured as Howler of the Month. Tony enjoys themes of religion, warfare, and human complexities. He also strives to write woven stories with picturesque imagery that leaves messages over thoughts on the world's cultural and moral values. Equally, he is a lover of the macabre, bears, and all things musical. Hi, Tony. Thanks for reading. Welcome.
Hi. Okay. I'll start this off. With I have a few pieces. I think the first one I'm gonna do is called News Channel. It can be interpreted different ways, but the main inspiration was the cold front that came and really decimated a lot of the South and how people reacted to that. It can also be extended to other things like Hurricane Katrina, and generally the response and lack of aid. News Channel. Snow gathers at the bed of a shot-down city, town, or state. Radio teeters between stations and static. You settle into the quiet, into the wind, how the earth turns, still runs, absent of what was, what could have. So you settle with the belief that one less voice is one less abscess to remove. They can go to hell, or as it was, they can be buried alive, fall under their sins, crumble as collateral, believe in wiping the floor clean. Thank you. The next I will read is called Dinner Bell Bunny. This is from a collection of poems I made at the start of the year as part of a class project. Dinner Bell Bunny. I would be interesting enough that I can be eaten whole. The marrow will drip with sweet saccharine upon the tongue. That a simple platter is not enough to serve my bones. To have a reason prescribed to the fantastical non-existence between purgatory, pelt torn from fleshy muscle. Am I soft enough to desire to be held and tousled, fluffed into a throw pillow, every part of me useful and carefully crafted for mandated dissection? Thank you. And next I will read a poem called Bird. I read this at Teen Helm before. People liked it. I also read it as part of my class project, the collection I wrote about before, and people really liked it, so. Fallen, the bird is stripped of its feathers. Hold on one second, I'm sorry. I'm on the cusp of losing my voice. My bad. Bird. Fallen, the bird is stripped of its feathers. Clipped, strung, tethered to the cork board that splinters and spits brown mulch from its crude, rotted face. Solace is found in the gaping wisdom caught from the bird's beak. He says how his struggle is a testament to the might of blue feathers and Elmer's glue. Captivation only lasts as far as you can find the time. Jostled, the bird swings with the sway of children's laughter. Thankful, bloodied, he is blessed in finding purpose. Pain is a reason to escape or find yourself on a pinboard. Posed is the wisdom of the blue jay. The last one I'm gonna read is called Eyes Caught on Wire. During speaking, it kind of talks about insomnia and things of that nature. It was part of me kind of trying to explore the idea of more conventional style poetry. Eyes caught on wire. Sickness cradles in the back of my throat and grows into a bitter bite at my senses. Then my eyelids can't take it anymore. Then my lips are dry and I just can't help but make it worse, rolling my tongue over it, tearing the skin. I was taught. I'd toss and get caught with memories of once being a child, melting into my bed, staring towards the ceiling to fill a mind that hasn't thought clearly in weeks. Mutilated, and off the bone, the fish hangs from the hook, torn and tattered, the gills are filleted. I forget what it means to be a person on most weekdays. I pick senselessly at my nerves, tenderized flesh. I haven't slept well in weeks, and nothing makes sense but a frustration other than the itch in the deep pocket of my spine. Strung from a wire, starting and forever embedded, running in the fingernails that tear at my hair, I've fallen to some sort of fallacy, related, tied to the way I grew up, or how my great-grandmother, twice removed and 5 times over, was raised. Thank you.
Thank you, Tony. That was great. Thank you for sharing. Wow, everyone was just fantastic. It's just amazing to hear young writers really doing it. So creative, inspiring, different kinds of forms, different kinds of reading styles. It's happening all here in Kentucky, which is just awesome. We have some time left. Have some just basic questions just to ask our young writers here. If y'all want to all turn on your video. I'm just going to start off with a general question. What made you fall in love with poetry? Why poetry, not a novel, or or maybe you like both, but what keeps you coming back to it? You know, anyone can start.
I'll go ahead. Oh, sorry, Tony. Uh, I like poetry a whole lot because I have trouble finishing things, and poems have such an emotional, like a short emotional shelf life that once I make one and I like it, it's it's done, it's out, and it may not be relevant to me an hour later, but I made something and maybe it's relevant to someone else. Um, And I like how quick emotionally poetry can be in that way, but also timeless because you can read really old poetry and be like, wow, me for real. And so that's why I like the form a whole lot.
Yeah, I love that short emotional shelf life. That is a poem for sure, and that's what drew me to it as well. It's just short and sweet, but you can get a lot out of it. It's a lot bang for your buck. Anyone else?
I can go.
Yep.
Yeah, I agree with a lot of what Ryan said. I think in the less like in a more like specific like prescribed like manner and less like more vague thought. For me, I joined a poetry club when I was in sixth grade at Leestown. This was by Elizabeth Beck, and that was my first time really ever writing poetry. And as my introduction into poetry, it definitely like it showed that there was something I could do with my writing other than just like creating stuff for class or academic stuff. I think also because my family's a lot of writers, it was just like it I knew it was gonna fall somewhere on this line, and I really like the short form that poetry does allow for you to have to create a very specific outlook or look into a topic or a question without having to like yammer on for like 50 pages.
Yeah, absolutely. Anyone else want to share? I have another question if we want to move on. All right. This one is kind of geared towards the college students. So has anything changed since, it's a big transition from going to high school to college? And you might have like a great writing habit rhythm going, and then you start this whole new kind of life, and you have this whole new schedule. You have all these classes. How do you make time to start keep writing? Do you join a club? Do you just make sure you wake up early in the morning? What's your process look like? If you have one. It's okay if you don't too. I had to take a break for a while as well.
Yeah, so I did definitely take a bit of a break when I first moved in, but then I realized a lot of the reasons why I love writing is because it's been a good way for me to channel a lot of my energy in and like any sort of stress I have. And first semester of college can be very stressful. So I found myself writing a lot more than I had, I think, in high school. Because it's like it's for me, it's a way of getting all of that energy out. Energy out. So yes, I've actually been writing a lot more, even though it's not been stuff I've really been producing for outside people. It's just been good for me, and that's been a good habit.
Yeah, for sure. It's so many things going on in college. Writing is there for you always, just to kind of sit down and decompress and get it all out. Doesn't really even matter what you do with it afterwards. So it's great to have poetry in your pocket to be able to do that. Anyone else?
I can go.
Yeah.
Um, I definitely think that my writing habits have changed since I've gone to college. I've definitely been writing a little bit, not as much as I would like to, a little bit less, just because of the adjustment and whatnot. However, I have found that moving not only to a new college but to a new state, I've moved to Pennsylvania, is has been a great source of inspiration for me. Meeting so many people from so many different parts of the country and the states too has been a big culture shock. But it's also been really, really nice. And I feel like I've only been inspired by the people around me and their stories and where they came from and how different they are from mine. And I've also met a lot of people who have the same background as me, which has, I guess, I feel like I found support here as well. And so I'm not as nervous or as scared. I was really nervous about how my writing was going to change once I got here and where I was going to draw inspiration from, because most of it comes from my family and the stories that they tell me, whatever's going on in their lives. And I was definitely a little bit scared to not be where I know I can draw inspiration from. So I'm being challenged a little bit, but I find it to be very fun. I tend to go outside now to try to get some inspiration in, but I also tend to kind of I don't really have a set time to write or anything like that. I don't have a routine. I write as things come to me. If I'm in class, we were learning about in my astronomy class thing that I'm taking, we were learning about how stars that are born are they're born due to the remnants of dead stars and well, to the remains of dead stars, sorry, to the due to the remains of dead stars, and that kind of inspired my poem Las mariposas monarcas se queman, because I was like, I think we're all made up of like so many people and we're influenced by so many people, and so I kind of just wanted to capture that. But yeah, I feel like I'm being more inspired now, which is, I'm very, very happy. It's just like getting it down on paper that's kind of difficult now. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks, Amy. Oh yeah, astrology class that is absolute inspiration for poetry. That's fantastic. That's so cool. Eva, would you like to add anything if it's cool? Not good. Okay. All right, y'all. We're about time. I'm just gonna end with if anyone has any cool current projects they're working on, anything they'd like to share. It doesn't have to be just poetry related. If you're involved in anything in school or something that you're looking forward to, want to share with us, or we're just in the thick of it right now in school. Yeah. Looking forward to Halloween, a little bit of a break. Yeah. All right. Well, thank you all again for reading and sharing your time with us this afternoon. It was a pleasure. We just want to have some couple notes here and thank our sponsors before we end. We want to make sure everyone knows that our new issue of the journal Pegasus Fall 2024 is out, and the issue features poems by Sam Radcliffe, Bill Brymer, Jessica Bentley, and others, in the KSPS Chaffin Cash and Grand Prix contest winners, in an interview, and so on. Additionally, want to thank support from Spalding University and the James Baker Hall Foundation for the continued sponsorship. And I'm just reading things that are in the chat that I need to say. Additional support is provided by the University Press of Kentucky as well. And in just a little bit, we have our membership meeting. If you would like to join us there, anyone who's a member can join to kind of see what the inner workings at KSPS is happening right now. I think that's it. Oh, and this conference is also sponsored by Red Spotted Newt Books, which is a bookstore in Hazard, Kentucky, which I've never been, but I've heard it's really cool if y'all are ever out there, and it's also gorgeous, probably right now with all the fall colors. And we're also sponsored by the Kentucky Humanities and the National Endowment for the I think humanities, yes. It needs to be like, on the radio when they speed up everything that you say. I'm trying to do a version of that, but it's all important. So thank you all so much for your time once again. I hope to see you all shortly. My Teen Howl poets, y'all are awesome and great. And the poet laureates, you're all killing it. You are representing the state well. And thanks again for your time. Thanks everyone. Bye. Oh, and fill out the evaluation too. Should be sent in the email. Bye, y'all.